Hello, children. Welcome back to your English class. Let's continue the Great Stone Phase 1. Let's read out the second part of the story. Page number 127, second part of the story. The years went on, and Ernest grew to be a young man. He attracted little notice from the inhabitants of the valley. The meaning of inhabitants is people living in the valley, dwellers. They saw nothing remarkable in his way of life except that when the labor of the day was over, he still loved to gaze upon the great stone face. Their idea was that this was a folly, but pardonable, because Ernest was industrious, kind, and neighborly. They did not know that the great stone face had become a teacher to him, and that the sentiment which was expressed in it would enlarge the young man's heart and fill it with deeper sympathies than others' hearts. They did not know that from this would come a better wisdom than could be learned from books. Neither did Ernest know that the thoughts which came to him so naturally in the fields and the fireside were of a higher tone than those which all men shared with him. A simple soul, simple as when his mother first told him the old story. He beheld the marvelous face looking down the valley and still wondered why its human likeness was so long in coming. By this time, poor Mr. Gathergold was dead and buried. His wealth, which was the body and spirit of his existence, had disappeared before his death. Since the melting away of his gold, it had been generally agreed that there was no great likeness after all between the ruined merchant and the majestic face upon the mountain. Let's summarize these paragraphs. Ernest has grown to be a young man. Every day he would go off by himself and gaze upon the grey stone face. He wondered why its likeness was delaying its appearance. By this time, Gathergold had become poor and died without establishing his likeness with the stone face. Now let's read out second last paragraph on page number 128. It so happened that another son of the valley had become a soldier many years before. After a great deal of hard fighting, he was now a famous commander. He was known on the battlefield by the name of Blood and Thunder. Old and tired now, he had lately expressed a desire to return his native valley. The inhabitants, his old neighbors, and their grown-up children prepared to welcome the renowned commander. It was being said that at last the likeness of the grey stone face had actually appeared. Great, therefore, was the excitement throughout the valley, and many people who had never once thought of glancing at the grey stone face now spent much time in gazing at it for the sake of knowing exactly how General Blood and Thunder looked. On the day of the general's arrival, Ernest and all the other people of the valley left their work and proceeded to the spot where a great banquet had been prepared. Soldiers stood on guard, flags waved, and the crowd roared. Ernest was standing too far back to see Blood and Thunder's face. However, he could hear several voices. "It's the same face exactly," cried one man, dancing for joy. "Wonderfully like it, that's the fact," replied another. "And why not?" cried a third. "He is the greatest man of this or any other age, beyond a doubt." Ernest at last could see the general's face, and in the same glance to the side, he could also see the grey stone face. If there was such a likeness as the crowd proclaimed, Ernest could not recognize it. "Fear not, Ernest," said his heart, as if the great stone face was whispering to him. Fear not, Ernest, he will come. Now let's summarize these paragraphs. Another son of the valley had joined the army as a soldier many years before. He had become a general by then and came to be known as Blood and Thunder on the battlefield, means he was known by the name of Blood and Thunder. In his old age, he decided to return to his valley. The people considered him as the likeness of the great stone face. On his return, he was welcomed warmly. The gathering mistook him as greatest man of all time. Ernest failed to recognize any likeness between Blood and Thunder and the great stone face. His heart assured him that the real copy had still not come.